You know that feeling, right? Your organization is practically drowning in good ideas. You have this endless stream of demand, but, only so much capacity to actually get things done. So the big question is, how do you decide what to build next to guarantee you're getting the best possible business outcomes? Well, let's dive into a really powerful tool that's designed to solve exactly that problem. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the prioritization problem itself. Then, we'll unpack the weighted shortest job first formula, looking at both cost of delay and job size. After that, we'll see it in action with a really clear example, and then we'll wrap it all up with a big idea, making decisions based on cold, hard economics. All right, let's get right into it. Section 1, the prioritization problem. This is all about moving away from those subjective, gut feel decisions and into a world that's a lot more objective and data-driven. I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? So often, the answer just comes from whoever shouts the loudest, or maybe the highest-paid person's opinion. And what does that lead to? Usually blame games when projects run late, and this huge gap between the company's strategy and what people are actually working on. This isn't just about taking off tasks. It's about making smart economic choices. We need a system, not just guesswork. And that brings us right to our solution, the WSJF formula. This is how we start to take a structured economic approach to figuring out the sequence of our work to get the absolute maximum benefit. So weighted shortest job first, or WSJF, you calculate it by taking the cost of delay and dividing it by the job duration. The logic here is it's beautifully simple. You give priority to the jobs that deliver the most value, the ones with the highest cost of delay, and can be done in the shortest amount of time. It's really all about getting the biggest economic bang for your buck as fast as you can. So let's break down that top number, the numerator, cost of delay. This is really the heart of how we figure out value. It forces us to ask a super powerful question. What's the actual economic hit to our business for every single week or month that we don't ship this feature? Okay, so how do you actually put a number on something as complex as value? Well, as you can see, cost of delay isn't just some vague concept. It's actually the sum of three distinct quantifiable parts: user business value, time criticality, and finally, risk reduction and opportunity enablement. Let's break those down. User business value is what you'd probably expect, direct revenue, maybe improving customer satisfaction, or avoiding some kind of penalty. Then you have time criticality. This asks, hey, is there a hard deadline or a market window that's closing fast that we just can't afford to miss? And finally, risk reduction and opportunity enablement is all about strategy. Does this work lower a future risk? Or, and this is the exciting part, does it unlock brand new business opportunities for us down the road? Okay, so that's the weighted part. That's the value. But what about the shortest part? Let's talk about the denominator. How in the world do we measure how long a job is going to take? Now, here's a crucial point. Early on in a project, estimating the exact duration in weeks or months, well, it's incredibly tough. It's often just a wild guess. But we can use a really reliable stand-in, job size. Think about it. It's just common sense. Bigger jobs, the ones that cost more or need more people, they almost always take longer. So instead of a precise time estimate, we use relative size. So how do we get these numbers? We use something called relative estimation. For each of those categories, user value, time criticality, and job size, we find the smallest, simplest item on our list. We give it a 1, and then we score everything else compared to that baseline. We often use a modified Fibonacci sequence for the scores. So if our simplest idea is a 1 in terms of effort, a huge, massive project might be an 8 or a 13 in comparison. It's all about relativity, not counting absolute hours. All right, theory is great and all, but let's see how this thing actually works in the real world. We're going to use a case study from the fictional Terrific Transport Corporation to make this crystal clear. So Terrific Transport has 3 major projects, or epics, all competing for their team's time. First, there's a high-value but super expensive local farm delivery service. Then there's a low-cost drone platform that could be a huge enabler for the future. And finally, a medium-value contractor supplies project. Now, your gut might tell you to go for that big strategic win, right? But let's see what the numbers have to say. Let's walk through the scoring here. First, we figure out the cost of delay. For the local farm delivery, we just add its value components. 13 plus 5 plus 2 gives us a cost of delay of 20. For the drone platform, it's 3 plus 8 plus 8, which comes out to 19. See that? They're actually really close in terms of value. But now comes the crucial part. We divide by the job size. The drone platform is tiny, a relative 1, while the local farm project is huge, a 13. And, well, the final WSJF scores tell the real story. And this just brilliantly shows the power of WSJF. The drone delivery platform is the clear winner with a massive score of 19. Now think about that. Even though its direct user value was the lowest of the 3, its tiny size, combined with that huge opportunity it unlocks, makes it the undeniable top economic priority. It gives the highest return for the effort. This is exactly the kind of surprising result that gut feel and office politics get wrong every single time. And this brings us to our final and honestly most important section. This is about making a fundamental shift in how we think. We stop prioritizing by opinion and we start prioritizing by economics. As Dean Leffingwell, the creator of the SAFE framework, puts it, when you get the flow of work right at the portfolio level, everything else just kind of falls into place. You create this direct, logical, and transparent line from your high-level strategy all the way down to what your teams are actually building every day. So what's the one rule you need to remember from all this? It's simple. After you've calculated the WSJF for all your initiatives, you just do the one with the highest score first. It takes all the emotion and politics out of the decision. Now, it's not a magic wand. The real work happens when you get stakeholders to agree on these numbers. But it completely changes the conversation from what I want to what delivers the most economic value for all of us. And that leaves us with one final question for you to take back to your own organization. Are your priorities being driven by the loudest voice in the room or the most powerful department? Or are they being driven by a clear-eyed calculation of economic value? Using a framework like WSJF, well, it can make all the difference.